Hola, bon dia, alegria, Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, the podcast, and a little bit of substacking. We're seeing how that's going at the moment. And that video, I hope you weren't too offended. If you're still here, I'm guessing you weren't. And goodbye. Farewell, if that was all too much. I can't think of a better way of exemplifying what we're trying to do with Coach Turner, growing old disgracefully. That was me, stripped down to me boxers on the beach in Salillo de Porto, not far from me. You don't have to do that. That's not step one in the Growing Old Disgracefully program, of Gentle Fitness for Bon Viveurs. Let's find out what it's really about and have a bit of a chuckle with the coach this morning, live from the UK. Hola, bon dia, alegria.
Bon dia, bon dia, bon dia a todos.
Well, that's a bit of a blast from the past, isn't it?
It was. I'd forgotten that one.
Are you proud of me running on my boots?
Oh,
on the beach.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. And that it was a shame it wasn't going up that sand dune, really.
Well, I think one of your tips is to not necessarily baby steps, but gently ease yourself into these gestures of great fitness and vitality. So I think it's probably better to run on the flat and work my way up towards
start with walking. Start with walking.
Absolutely. And we'll come back to that about how easy, in a sense, it is to get involved with growing old disgracefully. Your idea, Fitness for Bon Viveurs. And what this segment is about this morning is living well, aging well, and staying well. That's where I think the original idea came from, right, Ian?
Yeah, well, I guess it came originally when I was looking after my dad as he was struggling.
Right.
And he'd been fit most of his life, but he had a fall and that gradually went downhill and, the inevitable happened. And I sort of looked back at him and my mum and a few of the other sort of people that have left us and thought, well, that's not a great way to go, really. Why not? A, make sure you enjoy yourself because, we're only here not very long. But to enjoy yourself, you've got to be healthy.
Yeah.
So balancing those two things is all about balance, as you and I have said on numerous occasions about lots of things.
Yeah.
But it's getting that balance between, doing stuff that keeps you in good nick and enjoying life. The bon viveur bit, which I've been doing a lot of lately.
Well, good for you, and you know how to come back into balance with that, don't you? It's not part of a terminal decline, which you're alluding to. This is part of let's have some fun. We really must, as you say, we're only dancing on this earth for a short while. I think Cat Stevens said that. And we must enjoy ourselves. And so many people moving to Portugal have come here to do exactly that. And then get back into balance. And it's knowing how to do that. And that's where you come in with the program that you've been designing and topping up over the last, is it 3 years now that we've been doing this?
Oh, it's at least 3 years. It may even be 4. Scary stuff.
Yes, indeed.
I think it started just after the sort of COVID lockdowns.
I think you're right. And that, again, was a prompt, wasn't it? Because our lives changed and we got to see ourselves in a different way. And some people wanted to recover their vitality, both physically and mentally at that point, right?
Yeah. Well, it changed everything, didn't it, really?
Yeah,
not necessarily for the better, but
no, true. But we can extract the goodness out of it, can't we? And make a bad thing good, as Rastamouse often says.
Yeah.
And I'm looking. This is the Portugal Club. This is the classroom section. This is where people can find the God's God Gentle Fitness for Bon Viveurs. If I click on it here, we'll go into the magnificent resources that we co-created. I mean, you're the driving force with the content. And the approach, the philosophy of growing old disgracefully, and how to actually go about it, how to put your trainers on and take some action on this. There you are, sitting on your exercise bike, and I think it's amazing what's been created here. And I'll put the link to it in the chat. The big question, of course, is whilst everybody I think would agree, yeah, that's a great idea. Gentle Fitness for Bon Viveurs. Yeah, I want to grow old disgracefully. I want to do what the coach is talking about. Why is it that people don't, do you think?
Oh, it is difficult getting started. Because I've kind of done something most of my life, I guess. That started with playing rugby and drinking too much. but
Yeah,
so I got the balance from that.
Yeah.
But then when I gave up rugby, I had to have some sort of physical activity. You know, I was working, had kids, and so you know, a day out a week playing rugby was not on the cards, especially when I got home.
Right.
A little the worse for wear. So it was the right time to stop. And so I took up running, which didn't take nearly so much time because I couldn't run for very long. And so I started because I needed to keep doing something to keep me in half decent nick. But I was a lot younger then, so it was rather easier.
What age was that approximately?
Oh, it would have been mid-30s, I guess.
Okay, family life, the family time.
Family time, yeah, absolutely. So that gets in the way, and that stops a lot of people from doing anything. Though looking at my kids, pretty much, you know, I've got 5 children, and 4 of them have run marathons now.
Amazing.
So that's
a good example.
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of a legacy. And in fact, at my dad's funeral, I said that, you know, my brother and I, we're both coaches. He coaches swimming. I coach.
I didn't know that.
Sprinting. Yeah. And that's my dad's legacy, because he was pretty much always active in a lot of ways. He played tennis till he was 80.
Yeah.
So you know, he set an example in himself, and if you can do that for your children, that's you know,
that is really
now my grandchildren are all pretty active.
Yeah, my dad got a lot of exercise shouting at the telly, especially when the football was on or boxing. So he did set an especially good example to me. But
well, no, you're sat behind it now. Sat behind the camera. See.
Well, that's true. Yeah, he has influenced me in many ways. To be fit and healthy probably isn't one of them. So in that situation, you've got to do it for yourself. And I'm pleased to say that's how I think my kids are going to remember me. You know, I was in a typically Portuguese way. Me and my son were exercising at about 10 in the evening down by the beach at one of these. You'll have seen them in your travels around Portugal. We've no excuse not to go to the public street gyms here, have we? They're everywhere.
Oh no, they're brand new, aren't they, in Sao Martinho?
We were on the brand new one, and we were he's 13, so he's getting a bit competitive, you know. So we're hanging, who can hang from the bars the longest, who can do the most pull-ups, and it's great. And this is a sort of stuff like you're remembering your dad, you know, with the tennis and his sporting legacy for you and your brother. I hope that's how he remembers me, and he's getting into it, you know, and which is great. So I'm doing everything I can to encourage him. And coach, I can still out sprint him. I'm just holding on to that at the moment, because that's not going to last for much longer, is it?
No. You know, I mean, and I train, so
yes,
and I can't keep ahead. You know, my eldest grandson was 18 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
And he's way quicker than I am.
Yeah.
So you know, it comes to a point where you can't keep up, but just doing it is great. But back to the sort of sprinting and coaching. As I thought about how you could stay healthy, I thought, great, you know, you can get out, just walk. Walking's fantastic exercise, but it doesn't give you all you need. So you need to also stay strong, keep your muscle mass up, because you do lose it if you don't do anything about it. If you just sit watching the telly all the time, your muscles will disappear.
Yeah,
and we know that if you break a limb, the atrophy, you know, your muscles, they literally disappear over a couple of weeks. So you have to keep using your strength. So keep your strength, keep the muscle mass. So you've got to do something to do that. And for me, because I kind of enjoy the training I do, because I'm a bit peculiar like that, but I realize that you kind of need to have some speed in whatever it is you're doing, whatever exercise you're doing. You need to push yourself a bit, and that can be just for sort of 20 or 30 seconds at a time. So I started to think about how you do that if you were walking. You'll remember we got into the fartlek thing, which is a great word.
Hours of fun. Hours of
fun with that word.
Yeah.
Which is basically, that's the Swedish term, I believe, for speed play. So you play with the speed. So for 20 seconds, 30 seconds, you walk really quickly and puff yourself out, and then have a couple of minutes to recover. So building stamina, so you go out for a walk for, even if it's just a quarter of an hour, but you build speed into that, and then you do a bit of strength work, but that just can be, squats and press ups and the simple body weight stuff, just to keep your muscles there. So that mixture of those three things, I suppose I came up with. I don't think I'd read it anywhere. And as you say, we've been going on for 3 or 4 years now, and the more we do this, the more I talk to people, the more valid that sort of combination seems to be. And lo and behold, on my Insta feed the other day was an American influencer, in inverted commas, pushing this latest Japanese craze of interval walking. So lo and behold, walking for 3 minutes slowly and then walking for 3 minutes quickly. That's the latest thing, apparently.
There's nothing new, is there? There's only coming to it new or remembering it again. So fartlek, Japanese, Scandinavian, Russian, whichever intermittent training thing you follow or are inspired by, give it a go. And there it is. I mean, this has stood the test of time, as I think you're saying there. Stamina, speed, and strength. These are the three principles. That's you on the video talking about it. That's what the God Squad program looks like. You made all these videos, and we've put them into a program so people can hear you talk through it and then suggest where they begin. So the Holy Trinity has stood the test of time of stamina, speed, and strength. That's what you might take into your older age. Those three core principles, and then go and do something about them, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that can be as simple as putting your shoes on and walking to the coffee shop, which I will be doing in a little while.
Yeah, that's right. You're known for it.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's 10 minutes, quarter of an hour, maybe, if we're wombling a bit, down to the coffee shop. So you do that. That's nearly half an hour's walking. And that really is all you need, especially if you put a bit of speed into it. Now, I average. It says on my magic machine, I average about, I think this year, 9,500 steps a day.
Seriously?
Yeah. How do I do that? Mind you, we did do one day in where was it? I think it was San Sebastian. A couple of weeks back, and we did 30,000 steps. I thought, I wondered why I felt tired
in one day. That's good going.
In one day.
Okay.
and that included walking up a rather steep hill.
Yeah. So, amazing. And fair to say that the road is rising to meet our feet, as it were.
Yeah,
because people are talking about these things, aren't they? Talking about steps. The technology's there. If you've moved to Portugal, you've got a great context and environment and background to do all of these things. So give it a go. All the encouragement is there from the coach. The program is there. We are the Good Morning Portugal community at the Portugal Club. You can get support and a sense of community about this as well, which I think is also important, right? To go about this with other people, I think can be quite helpful, right?
Yeah. Well, I when I'm away on vacation, I walk with Mrs. T. So that's the two of us. We I'm glad to say she loves exercise. In fact, she does rather more than I do. But getting out with friends, just going for a walk, and especially if you can go into the nature rather than just down the street.
Yes,
walking through woods and countryside. Yeah, that has added benefits, doesn't it? It's
absolutely. Now there is another part to this, and often you've been on the screen with the wonderful Phil Cooklin. Let me see if this comes through this morning, because he has a
Friday.
Can you hear him?
It's a Friday feeling. I'm a feeling Friday. Woo-hoo. Weekend. Oh, yes, it is. Now, look. Some people wake up like little Joey, our dog, right? And his tail's always wagging and his eyes are wide and he's just ready for life the moment he wakes up. And others are a bit more grumpy. They're a bit more like Zazzles, our cat. And do you know what the difference is? I mean, it's not the weather, it's not the job, it's the attitude. Enthusiasm, it's like good seasoning, isn't it? It doesn't change the food, but it makes it so much better, so much more flavoursome. And when I bring a bit of sparkle, things just go smoother, even the awkward bits. And there are awkward bits. And if I can't feel enthusiastic yet, I fake it until I feel it. It does kick in because attitude shapes outcome.
There you go. You need to sign up at fillmycup.com for those every morning. But attitude shapes outcome. And this is an important part of what we're talking about this morning, isn't it? Getting into the right attitude. And for a lot of people, to be fair, if they never liked sport at school and for decades they've avoided it, their attitude around it is going to be a little bit counterproductive, isn't it? And not supportive to what we're talking about here. So perhaps that's the first step, as it were, is in considering what your attitude towards it is and looking at it in a different way. Have you seen people change in this way?
Yes, I've certainly, a couple of friends of ours who did virtually nothing. Unsurprisingly, most of our friends are quite sporty.
Yeah, birds of a feather. And all that.
I've got other friends who've never done anything for 50, 60 years.
Yeah.
And now they've got time because they've retired and they started to walk. And actually, like a lot of addicts, when they give up something, i.e. work and life, they find something else to be addicted to.
Yes.
And they started walking, just in the countryside, just going for driving out to somewhere nice and just walking for a few minutes and finding a cafe or whatever. But they start, and now they're doing 20-mile hikes because it just gets under your skin and you start to enjoy it. The weather does affect you actually when you're doing that, because if it's pouring down with rain, you really don't fancy it. But
I was going to say that's better in Portugal. That's better in Portugal. That hasn't been so yeah.
No, you've had rubbish. We've had better weather here.
It's true. But I think that's behind us now. So please take a look. It's part of the Portugal Club offering. All of the videos, all of the guidance that we've been talking about this morning is there. Designed, the architect of the Growing Old Disgracefully program, Coach Turner, here is with us. It's there for your use and your edification. And I was pondering this, growing old disgracefully. I mean, that's the whole bon viveur thing, isn't it? To have a great life and do things that might seem a little counterproductive to fitness and longevity, but it comes back to balance. And the meaning of disgraceful, I looked it up, is shockingly unacceptable. So what might be shockingly unacceptable is this idea of living well, living happily and healthily, doing things, eating and drinking things you love, and remaining fit and well. We're breaking new territory here, aren't we? In the Roger Bannister sort of way. If there are avatars, examples of people who are growing old disgracefully, that might inspire other people to run their 6-minute mile as a metaphor in these terms as well. We're not our grandparents, are we? We're living a very different life, and we have a
very different life. Well, I live a very different life to my mum and dad.
Yes.
I think actually, thinking about my children, I think they're likely to live a similar life to us. Mm. So we've changed in the last generation, I think.
Yeah.
I would like to think so anyway, but we'll see. Talking of Roger Bannister,
yes.
I read the other day that for the 2 weeks before his famous mile run, he did nothing.
He's our role model.
He's our role model. He stopped training. I think he went somewhere like Switzerland and just I don't suppose he was drinking much.
Right.
But he went and just had a holiday. Yeah. And didn't do any or very little exercise at all.
But we don't know what was going on in his mind, do we? Like we don't know what's going on in other people's minds. We often don't even know what's going on in our own mind. But perhaps I would like to think that he was working on his attitude. He was creating a circumstance.
I'm sure there's that. There's also a big argument for being very, very fresh when you're doing something exceptional. Yes. It's like tapering before a marathon.
So what's that?
Well, you build up to doing quite long runs, sort of 20-mile type runs, up to about a month or 3 weeks before you do a marathon, and then you do shorter and shorter, gentle distances. Because if you do a long run, even within a week of a marathon, it takes it out of you. Long runs drain a lot of energy. They challenge the muscles. You don't want that in your muscles and your body when you're lining up to do 26.25 miles. I think
that makes sense to me. That really
does.
Yeah.
So you taper before a big effort, and I suspect that's effectively what Roger Bannister did.
And you create the capacity, basically, don't you? You're creating a latent sort of energy within that can burst forth to meet the challenge of that particular event and occasion. It's
also looking after your muscles, because if you're in hard training, your muscles struggle to manage that. You get stiff muscle stiffness.
Yes,
DOMS, as they call it, delayed onset muscle soreness.
Oh, DOMS, right? Okay,
DOMS. It's a good word for athletes.
Fantastic. Well,
threaten them with that.
may I conclude by obviously to give you the last word and a note of encouragement to our community. But I want to say thank you very much for the work you've done on this, and I'd love to see more people trying it, using it, getting benefit from it, and enjoying themselves and enjoying it in the company of other people who find ourselves in this community with you. So thanks very much, Ian, for this.
It's my pleasure. I've really enjoyed doing all the videos. I've got another one in mind, actually. So
great.
But you can just dip in and out of those. It's better, I suppose, to do the first few in order, but you don't have to. Just find them.
Well, try them out. It's great what's been created. What's your final rousing message for our community this morning?
You don't have to go out of your way to do some form of useful activity. Right. Just find something you really enjoy doing and just get on with it.
Approach it differently, think about it differently, and go for it. Yeah.
Or as the Nike ad said, just do it.
Absolutely. What a great note to end on. Have a great weekend. Bon fin semana to you. And
to you.
We will. You're a regular visit to the Iberian Peninsula. We didn't get a chance to talk about that. You're a big.
We're back in October.
Excellent. We shall see you. We'll have a party in your honour, shall we? Should we meet at the cocktail bar? And we will drink and we will dance. How about that for balance? Have a great weekend. Ciao,
you
ciao.
too. Ciao.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts